Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it. Good morning, everybody. Cowboy. It is 8:30 a.m. EST. And looks like Bitcoin. We'll start with Bitcoin. We're actually going to move into the NASDAQ here in a minute. But Bitcoin looks like it's coming to a decision point, right? And I think what I drew is more or less what it's going to look like. So it's been kind of grinding up the last day or so since the market opened yesterday. And I was kind of updating everybody over at Algo Factory as to that grind up. So, we're probably going to see this, we're probably going to see that. I called out 84 yesterday, and a couple of our guys over there were also seeing that it was going to creep up and actually calling that out. So that's what we're looking at. I think a little bit of a pullback and more up, but I think once we get to about 85,600-700, if price can even make it up that high, we might end up seeing price diverge. And quite frankly, I don't know that it's going to make it all the way up there. Quick note, look in the screen, get your free algo link in the description. Click in the description, algo. It's a video showing you how to put it together. All right, so let's take a brief look here. I'm just going to look right at the screen. Yeah, I do see here on the swing trading timeframes a fair amount of strength left, right? So you have this situation where, on one time frame it's bearish, on another it's bullish. And there's a slight chance, and I'm not saying this has happened, but there is a slight chance that we've seen the bottom here, and like the local bottom. The bull market may or may not. The bull market may or may not be over. Okay. Now there's a lot of bearishness high time frame. However, when you're in the middle of a bull market, oftentimes what we see is a little high time frame bearishness, and then it flips right back around and heads up. So was this the bottom down here at 76,000, right? Going back to the 11th of March, was that the bottom? Well, it might be. And let me tell you partially why it might or might not be. It's going to have to do with the NASDAQ. So right now, this is what I see with Bitcoin, slight grind march upwards, 85 important area might break downwards. If it breaks up past 85.5, then you're looking at some good bullishness in the chart. But if we move over to the NASDAQ, you're going to notice here that we saw basically what I think was the plunge protection team. So if you watch my Sunday videos, you're going to see that the predictions that I make, it's just a general kind of which way the wind is blowing type prediction on those Sunday videos. That's what that's about. I don't really use that to trade. I do use it as kind of a general idea of what price wants to do if we don't get any surprises. And at the time that I did the video, price for the indices, for the Dow and the SP 500 and all that, wanted to head down. Well, what the NASDAQ does in the short term, Bitcoin reflects. So if I were to simply overlay Bitcoin on top of the NASDAQ, you notice that the price action is extremely similar. Bitcoin being, I'm going to change this to be a lighter color so you can see it. So that yellow line is Bitcoin, and the rest of it is NASDAQ. So very obviously, NASDAQ is kind of telling Bitcoin what to do. A much bigger market, NASDAQ is gonna be the key there. Now, it doesn't mean that it'll do it before or after necessarily. They can kind of, one might lead the other on a given day. It's not that great of a predictive tool, except that if you have, any algos looking at NASDAQ, it might be that Bitcoin's going to go if NASDAQ gets bearish. But the thing is that the Bitcoin algos probably get bearish at the same time. So I don't know that there's a whole lot of use in paying too much attention to NASDAQ, except for which way the wind is blowing. And I can tell you with the NASDAQ on the high time frame is bearish. It does not look good. It really doesn't. Now, price was held up, like I said yesterday. I think it was the plunge protection team. What is that? Well, the stock market has a lot of people's retirement in it. So interesting that price should make this crazy turnaround right here at a support. If you go back to the 7th, let me see, what is this? Really the 10th of March and the 13th of March, you'll notice that the NASDAQ futures and NASDAQ itself bounced right around 19,000 twice and actually rallied up nicely at that point. And, a lot of this happens because of news, or it might be because money is pushed into the market, whatever it might be, a little bit of both, I'm sure. But you notice that price, it broke downwards, and the algos were all bearish when the market opened, right? So Sunday night on the futures, everything dumped down. And then the open was right about here on Monday morning, and you had a massive move down, and all of a sudden price, you see this big candle here, this big green candle right there, price all of a sudden got pushed right back up and held above 19,000. So it seems to me that either some very strong bullish type people came in at 19 and pushed the price up, or just it's the plunge protection team making sure price doesn't go too far down too fast. A complete meltdown, that'll cause a lot of panic. But if you do it a little more slowly, a little controlled demolition, it's not as bad. Might also be that the bottom was down at 18.9, 18, almost 19,000. That might have been the bottom. It's possible. But for the moment, the high time frame is bearish on NASDAQ. And as long as that's the case, I think we're going to see Bitcoin not be able to go up much higher. Now, it might maintain. Bitcoin might be able to hold where it is. I'm not saying it's just going to melt down, but I do not think we're out of the woods yet. Now, if I were to look solely at the Bitcoin chart and not pay attention to NASDAQ, I might think, okay, 50-50. We might be okay. We might not be okay. And I say okay, I mean out of the woods. I'm always okay. Bitcoin goes down, I short it. Bitcoin goes up, I long it. I like action. I don't care what direction it's in. So, that's the look at Bitcoin and NASDAQ, right? So what might the NASDAQ do in the next few days? It's possible, and it all depends on a few factors. It really could do anything, but I think we're probably going to see sideways action. And the way it behaves at 19,000 is going to tell us a lot. So if price were to come back down to 19,000 here, if it bounces upwards, then we'll see what happens at that point. But if it can't make any new highs, if it keeps kind of bouncing on 19, going a little bit lower, things like that, then you're going to probably see price head down. But if you can see these bounces go a little bit higher, then we can, take a look at everything at that time and make a determination as to what we think is going to happen. But even if we see bounces or even an uptrend of some kind, the higher time frame probably would remain bearish, and I would still expect for the NASDAQ to head down at some point and drag Bitcoin down with it. Right now, I'm not bullish on anything. And I know a lot of people see a little bounce and they get very hopeful. I don't think that's a very good idea, right? And the reason I can do that, and let's go back. Last week, I had some of my a particular buddy of mine trades. The acquaintance really trades NASDAQ, and he's really good at it. This guy's an animal, and so what he does is basically he just is a great technical trader. He trades live. He'll do prop desks. So long story short, he was like, yeah, everything's bullish. And I told him last week, I'm like, yeah, right now, everything's bullish, but a high time frame, it's bearish. So you might get a move up, but we're probably going to see it come right back down. And come right back down it did. And he agreed. It wasn't like he disagreed, but at the time, he was like, everything's bullish. Well, he's a day trader. It's what matters in the next few hours is what matters to him. But it was Tuesday of last week when everything came down, and on Monday everything was quote unquote bullish. So just understand that we're looking at a scenario where everything is high time frame bearish still. So I wouldn't get too excited. So awesome. Golden Khan wants to see Solana, but we are actually at the end of the public live lab. So Golden Khan, if you would like to see any particular charts on a regular basis, come on over to algofactory.tech. If you are over there with us, we have for another 50 or so minutes, we start the private live lab over on Telegram, and all of our members, our paying members, are able to ask questions, get custom charting. We have all that stuff going on. Via the Guerilla comes in. He's actually out this week, by the way. Via the Guerilla has some personal matters going on, and he's okay. It's not a problem. He's just handling some IRL stuff this week. So, but almost every other week he's in, and he's given us that high flying data, that 30 to 50,000 foot view of what's going on in the world. And this guy really knows what's going on because he does massive deals around the world, Bitcoin and gold. He talks to people who have major influence, and he's able to tell us months ahead of what's going to happen. He's pretty accurate. Nobody's always 100%, but he's really accurate. So again, go to link in the description, click your algo, give me your first name, email address. I'll send you an algo. You guys can go ahead and test that out. And that algo works. I would optimize it. I would test it. And if you want to know how to test and optimize, come to algofactory.tech. We will teach you how to trade like a hedge fund pro. Thank you all for watching today. and we will catch you on the flip side tomorrow, bright and early, 8:30 a.m. EST sharp.
Join us or die.
Just kidding. That's a total joke. You're not going to die. We love you.